Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Exotic Car Playplace. Thanks for joining in again today, and I know you guys are curious about what it is that you need to do to protect your N54 engine from exploding. Now, everybody knows the reason I bought the N54 or a 335 with the N54 was because its tuning capabilities. I have long-term objectives to pump this beast up and create a little bit of hot rod out of it. So today I'm going to explain to you one of the core fundamental components that you need, whether you're modifying your car or whether you're leaving it stock, that really ensures the health of the engine and ensures the fact that your engine stays together. You don't want it to blow up on you. So this is what we're going to talk about today. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Mark with Exotic Car Playplace. Now today we're really talking about the intercooler. Now everybody knows, if you've done any research or checked the forums at all, you know pretty much everybody on the forum talks about the stock intercooler. Now they barely are adequate for regular driving. If you live in a cold climate and you drive moderately, it's probably not an issue. But if you do any kind of hotter driving, the weather conditions, the ambient temperatures are higher, or if you do more sporting driving, or maybe you run at higher speeds for longer durations, and especially if you're looking at taking your car to the track at any point, this is critical. You need an upgraded intercooler like the one I have here, which is a 7-inch VRSF intercooler. It is a significant upgrade in the core capacity that's able to allow heat dissipation from charge air that goes into the engine from the turbos. You see, because the key is, if you're putting hot temperatures into the engine, what ends up happening is you create a situation of pre-detonation or pre-ignition, which causes basically pinging and knocking and pinging in the engine. That can happen if you're putting too much heat, you're compressing it too quickly, and you can't dissipate that heat. You're putting in too much hot air into the engine. Ideally, an engine likes cool, dense air. And of course, the original intercooler does a poor job of managing that charge air. So that's why we talk about upgrading. This reduces the likeliness of that phenomenon of detonation. Now, detonation is basically like taking a ball peen hammer with the round end and banging the top of your piston crowns, or banging the valve heads, or banging the side of cylinder walls. That type of damage is actually very similar to what detonation can do to your engine. I've seen detonation. You don't want that. It wrecks an engine. It can break rings as well. It can leave your engine fried. So you want to protect that charge air. You want to keep it cool. That's why, as part of the upgrade stream that I'm doing for this car, I've already ensured that the VRSF Intercooler 7-inch is going to do the job for me. Now, contrary to popular belief, a lot of people think adding the intercooler is going to give you all this extra power. In reality, it's really not giving you really little power, if any. It's creating a cooler charge air, which indirectly can create a little bit extra horsepower. But really, that's not the intent of adding these intercoolers. The intent is to remove that hot air, replace it with cooler air. And so what that effectively does is allows you to facilitate, or it actually facilitates adding more power. You can increase the boost, put more flow with bigger turbos, more fuel. You can basically do all those power adders, and you're not worried about the charge air wiping out the engine, because the intercooler is going to keep everything cool. So that's really why you want the intercooler. Now, if you refer to forums like e90post.com, they've got actually a story where there's a gentleman who actually put together an N54, tuned the hell out of it. It's pulling record power on a relatively stock internal. That car is actually set up to pull 861 wheel horsepower. It was proven on the dyno time and time again. This person apparently was worried about it blowing up at 600 horsepower. They kept pushing. 700 horsepower, kept pushing. 861 horsepower, the engine stayed together on stock internals. That's very, very impressive. There's one key ingredient. They are using the VRSF intercooler. That's a fundamental staple to any upgrades to these engines. So at the end of the day, you talk about other factors. How do you determine its effectiveness? Well, there's a little number called delta. The delta is really comparing the charge air temperature to ambient temperature. What is that temperature drop, the differential temperature that you'll see from the air on the outside of the intercooler to the air on the inside of the intercooler? It's called a delta. And a really strong intercooler under hard load conditions, like for example a hard pull in third, fourth gear for extended durations where the engine has a chance to really heat up and the charge air starts to really heat up, that's a good test to the quality of the intercooler. Now you would hope to find somewhere in the 20 to 50 degree Fahrenheit differential is all you'd ever hope to see. If you're seeing temperatures beyond that, you know the intercooler is well beyond heat soaked, and that's not the right application. So you really want to make sure you get the right intercooler for the application. Now, why do you guys want to continue following? I'll tell you what right now, guys, the N54 easily is one of the most aggressive, one of the most tunable engines in recent history. A lot of people compare this thing to the 2JZ motor that came out of the Toyota Supra back in the early 90s. So tunable on stock internals. Those cars were insane for the amount of power you could bring out of them. This is very, very comparable. This N54 engine right here is very comparable to the old 2JZ. And you're going to want to really watch the rest of the channel as I go and develop this car. I'm going to do performance upgrades. You're going to see, you know, some wraps, and you're going to see some how-to-its and do-it-yourselves. You're going to learn a lot about these 335s. And these cars are so underrated, in my opinion, that realistically at some point people are going to start to appreciate these even more. Now, I've already got a few modifications under the belt here. That's actually the way I bought the car. That's a big reason why I bought the car like this. But I'm going to share with you some of the different components and why they're really important in the big scheme of things. Today's really was to share with you one of the fundamental parts, the intercooler. So at the end of the day, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. You make sure you give me a thumbs up, like, share with your friends on social media. Don't forget, if you're on those forums, don't forget to mention me as well, because again, this is a project we're going to be pushing this as the next, little while goes on. This is going to be a project, so make sure you give it a thumbs up, like, and share. And as well, don't forget to hit that subscribe and the notification bell right next to it. That's going to let you know when the next great video is out. So hope to see you guys on the next one. Catch you real soon. Bye-bye. Ciao.